All right, guys, here we go. We're going to just dig in. Theo's talk was going to be on phone excellence and how to rock push selling. I'm going to hand you out his handout in a little bit, and we'll cover some of that stuff. I'm also going to go over a few different things. I know Justin talked about prospecting today, right? You know, one of the things I want to share with you guys, though, is the concept of the fundamentals. And what I mean by that is when you think about how many of you guys have sold, let's say, has anybody in here sold over 100 grand personally? Okay, how about 50 grand? Anybody at 50 or more? How about 25 or more? Who's at 25? We got a couple 25s? Okay. Really, guys, you don't really learn how to really sell Cutco till you're at least 25, 30 grand, 40, 50 grand. And the way it works is about every 50,000 you sell, you really learn more. You layer it. And so, you know, I think learning a lot of advanced stuff from Matt Warren last night, from, you know, Amber and Justin today, that's all great. But if you don't build it upon good, strong fundamentals, it doesn't really matter. You know, for example, if you did, I'm going to have you write down a number for me, all right, just on piece of paper. If you went out right now, and this next week you saw 10 people, all right, so you saw 10 people. What I want you to do is write down how many recommendations you think you would get from those 10. Just write down, type in a number. It doesn't, you know, and by the way, it doesn't matter if it's low or high, but the only way you're going to get value out of this is if you're real with yourself. Right? I'm not going to have everybody announce your numbers, so don't be writing down a big number just because it looks good. All right? All right. So right now, you went out and did 10 appointments. How many recommendations do you think you'd get? All right? Now, some of you probably have a big number down, some of you don't. Some of you probably have. Does anybody have like, and you don't have to share if you don't want to, is anybody in the ballpark of like 40 to 60, 40, 50, 60? Who feels you're in that range? Like, yeah, I'd probably get 40, 50, 60 good recs. Okay? Does anybody feel like, hey, I'd get 100? I'd get 100. Okay? And what I want to share with you guys is this, is that if you're not averaging 10 or more, there's definitely room for improvement. You know, you should get your skill level to a point where you could get 100 good, fresh recommendations from 10 people if you're not there. And see, when I started as a sales rep, I wasn't very good at the phone. Matter of fact, my first 10, 20, 30 grand I sold, I was really bad at the phone. Like, bad. And so I had to get good at recommendations, or else I wouldn't be here. And so I got to a point where I was averaging 18 recommendations per customer. Like if I got like 12 or 14, it was pretty bad. But I had to get that good because I was so bad at the phone. Like I'd make 100 phone calls and book 2 demos. You know, that sort of thing. And so I obviously had to get better at the phone as well. But in the meantime, I was like, I know I can get good at recs. And to me, if you think about getting recommendations, it's only 3 or 4 little things. Right? One, do they actually like you? Like if they really don't like you, they're probably not going to give you many recs, right? Mm-hmm. Number 2, do you actually follow the approach to a T, which is on page 21 of your white book? Do you actually follow it? Number 3, do you actually follow it with confidence? And then you're not going to average 18 by just doing that. That'll get you around the 7 to 10 range, right? 5 to 10 range. To get over 10, you got to do a little bit of extra stuff, which I'll share with you. Some of this may repeat what some of the stuff Justin said, some of it may not. But I feel that, guys, if you haven't sold at least 50 grand or 100 grand, there's a lot of fundamentals that we still want to get strong in order for you to have a really good song. Does that make sense? Also, as a paid assistant manager, if your representative has trouble with recommendations or whatever, you may be talented enough and at a certain level in the business where you may be able to get away with some things that you may not follow the recommendation approach exactly, but if you're really talented, dynamic, they love you, you do a good presentation, you have a lot of confidence, you may still be able to get 5 or 10 recommendations per appointment. But a newer rep may not. And that's why it's also important you know the fundamentals. So the first thing, it's not going to be flashy or fun, but if you don't really know page 9 and 10 word for word, and you don't know page 21 word for word, the price comparison, and in page 21 the recommendations, that's the first thing you have to do is get those down. Get those memorized, right? Have you ever had an opportunity price by cutlery, wide range quality price available? It's like anything else, wide variety quality price available. I'm sure you agree you can't compare, blah, 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 right? Page 21, recommendations. Here's where you can really help me out. I get paid each time I show Cutco. Only call people I've been personally recommended to, so I really need you to do when I'm writing up the order and cleaning up, shut down 10 to 15 people who might be nice enough to help me out. Not necessarily looking for people you think will buy, just people who might be nice enough to take a quick look. Here's pen and paper, put down as many as you can. Thank you very much. Right? I may have missed 1 or 2 words, but that's pretty much the recommendation approach word for word. I haven't done a presentation in a while, but I know. Does that make sense? So you have to have those down to fundamentals. I think learning this stuff is great, all the advanced stuff from Matt Warren, Amber, and Justin. But if you're not at least at like 40, 50,000 in sales or so, I like the price comparison, right? Package closes, all that. I would work on the fundamentals first. All right, does that make sense? So, for example, when it comes to getting recommendations, there's 3 questions I always teach representatives to ask before you ask for recommendations. You may already do this, so some of this is going to be review, right? But it's, hey, Ms. Jones, did you really like the product? I mean, obviously you got the homemaker, you love the product, right? But even if somebody didn't buy something, it's like, hey, I know you didn't get something today, but you still like the product, right? Okay, cool. And did you enjoy the presentation? Did I do okay? Okay, cool. And then the money question is this. If you're not using this, I would highly recommend this before you ask for leads. Can you think of any reason that someone wouldn't want to take a quick look at Cutco if they had the time? Right? If you're not asking that before you lead into Rex, I highly recommend that. That was one of the biggest things that helped me get to averaging 18 recommendations on appointment. Is I was handling any objection they would have before I asked. Because when they say, oh yeah, I like the product, oh yeah, you did good, I like the presentation, I can't think of any reason why not. Basically, they're saying they can't think of any reason why they're not going to give you recommendations. Does that make sense? So how you ask that's real important is, you like the presentation, like pride, okay, cool. Can you think of, Ms. Jones, and I say it kind of like I'm really wondering if they, can you think of any reason that someone wouldn't want to take a quick look at Cutco? And I pause, right, comma there, right? Can you think of any reason somebody wouldn't want to take a quick look at Cutco? And that, by the way, when I started this, when I came up with this as a rep, I stopped there. And then the only objection I was getting is, well, if they had the time. Because I was taking like a 2-hour demo. And so then they would say, no, I can't think of anything. Or some people would say, well, if they had the time. So then I'd go, okay, well, I'm just going to add that in. So can you think of any reason somebody wouldn't want to take a quick look at Cutco? And I shrugged my shoulders. If they had the time. And usually the customer looks up like this. They're like, nah, not if they had the time. Great. Here's where you can really help me out. See, I get paid each time I show Cutco, but I can only call people I've been personally recommended to. So what I really need you to do, when I'm writing up the order and cleaning up, is jot down, and then don't do this unless you can pull it off. But I used to do like the 300 to 400. So I'd say, what I really need you to do when I'm writing up the order and cleaning up is jot down 300 to 400 people who, no, I'm just kidding, Miss Jones. And then I asked for 20 to 25. But that's after I was averaging 18. So you might, if you don't have that confidence and expectation, say 10 to 15. That's fine. I would never say 5 to 10, obviously, right? If you ask 10 to 15, you get 5 to 10 and 7, right? But I've seen reps try to pull that off, like they ask for 300 to 400, and it just doesn't come across well. And so you got to really use your customers, gauge their reaction. Does that make sense? So just 10 to 15 people, or just 15 to 20 people who might be nice enough. If you want to average 10, by the way, I would ask for 15 to 20. So all I need you to do is write down 15 to 20 people, and then here's a key phrase. This isn't even in your approach, but the word might. Of people who might, that may be in the approach, but stress that, who might be nice enough to take a look. And then I took out the word necessarily. I would just say, I'm not looking for people you think would buy. Just people who what?
Are nice.
Just people who might. Get that word back in there. Just people who might take a look. And so you really overstress that twice. Basically, you're saying, who do you want? Anybody. Anybody and everybody you can think of. That might take a look. Here's pen and paper. Write down as many as you can. Now, you guys probably use the automatic sponsorship. Some of you do. I know in Raleigh, we don't even mess with it because, I was getting 18 recs back in the day without even that. You don't even need it. But if you use it, obviously use it to your advantage. That's cool. All right, bottom line is that expectation's it, right? All right. Did Justin cover anything about objections with leads at all? Like if they say they can't think of anybody, or they say, I don't want to do that. Did he talk about that? Yeah. You guys all set on that? Okay. Did he talk about qualifying leads at all? Yeah. Okay, good. Did he cover, like, when they give you 10 or 15 or 20, how to get more?
No. Yeah, he did.
Well, how to do it, though, is important, right? So, and this may repeat some of what he did, but I remember once I had somebody give me 30 leads, actually 29, and I asked for more, and I got 2 more. And the 31st person bought a home, right? Most people, if you get 29 recommendations, you're probably not worried about asking for more, but it was just kind of ingrained that I always just wanted every single one I could get. Does that make sense? So what do you think is the first key when they give you a sheet of leads, whether it's 5, 10, 15, or 20, and you want more? What's the first thing when they kind of slide that sheet over?
Thank them for it. You thank them for it?
You got to thank them. Now, you may be like, duh, Larry, everybody knows that. I'm not saying, hey, thanks, but, no, I'm like, hey, Ms. Jones, thank you so much for these. I want to let you know I really appreciate this. This is the only way to keep my business going. Now, as you're doing that took about 5 or 10 seconds. Then I turn the sheet back around and casually, as I'm doing it, I'm kind of inching it back towards you. Oh, thank you so much for these. I really, this is the only way I can keep my work going. I really appreciate this, Ms. Jones. Thank you so much. All right, and I just turn it around, the sheet back around. Because a lot of times when she slides at you, she'll turn it facing you. Does that make sense? So it's like really, but it's got to be genuine, that appreciation. And then it's, hey, Ms. Jones, I appreciate these 8, no doubt about it. I'll tell you what, though. I really, really would like to get 10, and my manager would really like me to at least get 10. And that's a great phrase. My manager would really like me. Don't you think your manager would rather you get 10 than 8?
Yes.
So you can say that. My manager would really like me to get 10, though. It's only 2 more. And then the first thing you do, you know how Justin taught you to do thought joggers to get more? He may or may not have covered this, but the first thought jogger you want to give is an easy one. You don't want to be like this, or like, no, I don't know any of them. No, I'm out. I'll give you everybody. You want it to be easy. A lot of times they will give you 1 or 2 neighbors, but a lot of times there's somebody on either side or across the street or diagonal that they didn't give you, that they could. Does that make sense? So I like to do kind of like, I like to take a mental note before you go in. And if you're not good with the middle part, you can write this down on an index card. I would always have an index card with you, and I'd write down the description of every house around them, each side and across the street. Black, white house with black shutters. Greenhouse with yellow shutters. That'd be kind of ugly, but whatever. You see what I mean? Big white house across the street. You with me? So then you can not only say, how about your neighbor, but you can say, hey, Miss Jones, who lives in the house next to you, the white house with the black shutters? Then they're like, well, that's so-and-so. And it's usually, unless they gave you a lot of leads, you can look and say, oh, they're not on here. Let's put them down. Not can we or whatever, but say, oh, they're not. And then as long as you have confidence and you have a good rapport with them, they like you, you can say that. You can be like, oh, they're not on here. Let's put them down. And if they're like, I don't know. Oh, do you not like them? Whenever somebody balks at putting somebody, I'm like, oh, do you not like them? You don't want to give them a chance at Cutco? That's what I always say. It's like, oh, you don't like them? Right? Because you don't want to give them a chance to see Cutco. Sometimes if they're like, oh, I don't know about that, I'm like, well, hey, Miss Jones, I get that. No problem, but do you not like them? And they're like, no. And they laugh, like, what do you mean? I go, well, I mean, don't you think everyone should have a chance to see Cutco if they want to? I mean, they can always say no on the phone, but if they want to, don't you think they should have a chance? Right? So those are little things you can do with reps. Does that make sense? I know Justin spent a lot of time on that. But once you get, by the way, the key is, and Justin probably told you this, that once they write down one more, right? That's all you have to do is give them write down one more, then you roll. Then you can do the other house, then across the street, then doctor, then dentist, attorney, nurses, somebody owns their own business, and you just give them those ideas one at a time. Or sometimes I'll say doctors and dentists. Who do you know that's a doctor or a dentist? Like your family doctor or dentist. Let's put them down. Right? Or who do you know owns their own business? How about an attorney? How about somebody in sales? Right? Like ask for the specific ones you want. Does that make sense? All right. Any questions on that? Comments on that stuff? Again, I wasn't here for Justin, so I apologize if I just repeated what he already told you. But pretty simple. Questions, comments at all? Okay. Are there any questions you have on like let's just open it up for a few minutes on like maybe it's an objection on a homemaker. When you're closing a homemaker and they say this, what do you say? Or on closing, not service calls like Amber covered, but just anything at all, like nuts and bolts, hands dirty, gritty. Like, what do you say if they say this? Or how do you handle this objection? Or what would you do here? Anything like that. Let's just open it up for a few minutes. Anything at all. Anything. Anybody got anything at all you want to ask? Only the end of it. I know that was more service call oriented.
So she said that you could trade in your cutting boards. Is that like the same thing for the sharpeners? Because I know someone who has sharpeners.
Oh no, that's a good 1-800 call Cutco and see. I know cutting boards, they'll just give you new ones a lot of times if yours is all beat up. Cool? Jazzy?
What do you think about piggybacking on demos? Like having customers set up demos? And then on that topic, what about the group demos?
Group demos, until you sell at least, I'd say $100,000, I wouldn't even mess with it. Maybe $50,000 and above, you might want to dabble with it and test it. You know, my litmus test is real simple. And as like you might say, well, I'm good at getting recommendations. Okay, if you go do 10 demos and you get 100 or more recommendations, you're okay at recommendations. If not, learn page 21, you know, and do it the way it should be done, right? Plus, you got to teach new reps and stuff, and that's why the fundamentals are so important. Piggyback, I love leapfrogging, piggybacking, whatever you want to call it. We call it leapfrogging appointments. If you have the confidence and they like you, and you have an opening, why would you not ask them to you know, when you qualify your leads, you should always ask if they both work or just one. You know, who works out of Bob and Susie? Like, when they start writing down leads, guys, I always said, hey, you know, can you write down both their names? Especially as a dude, you want both their names. You ever call and the husband answers? Right? So it's like, okay, but it's not as big a deal if you're like, hey, is Susie there? Yeah, who's this? Oh, is this Bob? Oh, hey, Bob. I was over to see Susie's friend Linda Franks. Then it's like, oh, okay. Right? But his name's important, right? So I'd always say when I go through and qualify leads who works, the reason that's important is if you're doing daytime demos and you're seeing Susie, and you don't have a demo right now, and you go through and qualify the leads, and you see 3 of the leads she gave you, or 5 of the leads, the wives are home, then you simply say, hey, Susie, could you really help me out? If you can do this, I'll give you a free vegetable peeler. I know you already got one, but you can give it away as a shower gift. It's like a $30, $40 item. See these three people here, these 4 friends of yours that don't work during the day? Is there any way you can give them a quick call right now? I actually have an opening that I need to fill right now. And if you can give them a quick call and just mention I'm working my way through school and I get paid to show this stuff and they don't have to buy anything, and just see if I can pop by real quick, that would help me so much towards my goal, and I'll give you this free peel. And a lot of times, guys, you can get peelers from your manager for like $5. I would always have a few peelers on hand. Right? Does that make sense? And a lot of times, if she likes you, she'll do that for you. And all you have to do is kind of coach her. So she starts dialing, hey, make sure you let them know it's Cutco, but they don't have to buy anything. But I need to know if I can just swing by real quick right now for a few minutes. And you can get immediate demos like crazy. Does that make sense? But you got to make it worth her time. Not only does she like you, but you throw in that free peeler, and then if she already has one, let her know she can use that for a shower gift or whatever. That's a big deal. Any other questions at all? Like, let me ask you this: you're closing a homemaker. Well, can I just buy them individually?
I mean, you could, but the set offers most
Yeah, I mean, you could, right? You could go ahead and you can get whatever you want. I tell you what, though, it's a much better value as a set. But you know what, Ms. Jones? I don't want you to get anything you wouldn't use. So let me ask you this: out of this set here, are there any items over the course of a lifetime that you would never ever use? And you span your pen across the names and usage page, and your pen always ends up on the carving set. Are there any items here that over the course of a lifetime that you would never ever use? Like ever? And your pen always ends up on the carving set. See, if you just like, well, you could, Miss Jones, but it's a better value as a set, as a homemaker, they got to feel you're on their side. And so when you say, you know what, you could, Miss Jones, but it's a much better value as a set. But you know what, though? I don't want you to get anything you wouldn't use. But if you'd use it, it's a great value. So let me ask you this. Is there anything you'd never use out of this set? Now, again, we're talking about basics, fundamentals, right? And sometimes it's like, well, I want to start with this. I want to close bigger packages. Hey, once you sell 50 grand or so, you know, you can even, you don't have to sell 50 to do packages. But my point is, most of you probably don't have an average order that's over 750. Right? So a homemaker or a galley sale is still a good thing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Now, if your average order is like 1,200, then hey, you know, you might want to start, you know, obviously you don't want to mess with that little homemaker set, right, in the galley. But do you guys see what I mean? It's all, and by the way, the more that the customer feels you're on their side, the less you have cancellations too. Like canceled orders and stuff like that, the less you have that. Now, let me teach you something at the very end you can do to kind of eliminate canceled orders. All right? How many of you think you're going to be in school in the fall? You have a chance where you might be in college in the fall. Anybody? Everybody? Okay. Pretty much everybody. Okay. Here's what I would do. I don't care if you sell a trimmer or a kitchen system or a $5,000 set. Okay? When you leave the house, you're at the door. You're walking out. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. It'd be like this. It'd be like, hey, Mr. Miss Jones or Miss Jones, whoever you saw. Hey, thanks so much. Again, I want to let you know I really appreciate your time. You know, you took time out to meet with me today, and I'm trying to work my way through college, and I want to make sure you know I appreciate that. The other thing is, I've got to tell you this, Miss Jones, I really appreciate your order. Because here's why, Miss Jones. I mean, this order here, you're going to love this forever. I mean, this is going to be the best investment you've ever made for like 30, 40, 50 years. You're going to love it. But you know why else I appreciate it? Is I'm trying to work my way through college. And you probably just bought a book for me for next semester. And so I want to make sure you know I really appreciate it. You're helping me with college and books, okay? So you're going to love it forever. You need some more. You ever have questions, let me know. But I just want to make sure you know that I really appreciate it. Now that's really effective when it's just a housewife. Because if the husband comes home and he's like, well, how much you spend, blah, blah, blah. No, you got to cancel. No. Honey, no. He's working his way through college and we just helped him buy books next semester. We're not canceling. You gave her ammo to talk to her husband about. Ooh. Does that make sense? All right, cool. All right. Any any other questions at all?
All right, so you have a customer who they love their knives. The knives they already have. Thinking about, like, I just spent $2-3 on this set. Why should I buy that?
Okay, no problem at all. You know what? Let's just go through it, and you have some knives here you like. Hey, no problem at all. Like I said, I get paid to show it. I'll show you some great stuff. What's really cool about Cutco is we have a couple things I can cover with you at the end. One is a trade-in, which is awesome, where we might be able to give you some discount for your old knives you can trade in. Or we have a lot of unique stuff that doesn't come with other sets. We have this cool thing called a spatula spreader. We have these table knives. We have these steak knives that are unbelievable. We have a special unique double the edge that's only Cutco has. So there's a lot of unique things. So just keep your eyes open. We have some super shears that are out of this world. There's some things that you might be able to get to add to it, or you might be so impressed because it seems like you like quality. Is that right? You really like quality? And if you buy something, would you like it to be the best? Well, what I show you, you might like, and you might want to get it because I'm going to just tell you straight up, there's some other knives out there that are pretty good. Nothing's like what I got. It's just unbelievable. So hey, if you want some stuff great, if not great, we'll see what we got.
At that point, you just like give up on something set.
No. I would do it. I would go through the demo, right, and then let's say we go to the rope test, and their knife takes 5 strokes. I'm going to make sure at the very back, they start at the very back, press down really hard, and Cutco goes through in 1, right? And so I'm like, okay, Ms. Jones, I mean, hey, that's awesome, but man, wouldn't it be nice to have something that's, stays sharp and that could save you all kinds of time in the kitchen? Like, wouldn't it be nice instead of spending 20 or 30 minutes if you could get it done in half the time? And Ms. Jones, I mean, I know you take care of this house. I mean, 10 or 15 minutes might not seem like a big deal, but I bet to you to have an extra 10 minutes a day to kick up your feet, chill, catch a little TV, read the paper or whatever, wouldn't that be a great value to you? And here's the other thing, Ms. Jones, that's so cool about Cutco is not only did it cut one time there, but the value of the double D edge, and I'm going to explain how it works versus the straight edge, is this will actually stay sharp for like 7 to 10 to 12 years, and you won't have to worry about sharpening it. So it's really not about how good Cutco is today. Like, it cut 5 times better. It's not about it being 5 times better than your knife today. It's about over the next 10 or 12 years. So that's something like that. And see, what you have to do is sell her, like especially a housewife or a homemaker that has little kids, sell her on the value of saving some time. Right? And then I subtly threw in there Cutco's 5 times better than his knife, right? But I did it in a way that didn't piss him off because he has pride in those knives. So at first, when he first brings out knives and stuff, I'm like, oh yeah, there's some good ones. By the way, on the junk knife page, I'm also going to add in straight edges and the disadvantages of straight edges. And how, the major disadvantage of straight edges is you have to sharpen them all the time. Matter of fact, chefs are trained to sharpen their knives every day. And some people love to do that, Ms. Jones. Do you like sharpening knives all the time? Oh, you don't? Okay. Because some people love that. For me, I'd rather just pick up a knife and it works. That sort of thing. So I'm setting the stage all the way through. And then a lot of times you can do a discount and trade in and all that.
So how does this sound? Do you believe time equals money?
Love it. Love it. I love that phrase. Time equals money. Love that. Right? Love that phrase. And so God bless you. And so it might be like, hey, Ms. Jones, could you imagine even if it's only 10, 15 minutes a day? Like, let's say to you an hour's worth $20. For you, Miss Jones, it's probably worth a couple $100. But even if it's only worth $20 and you save like 10 minutes a day, that's an hour you're saving a week. So in essence, that's $20 a week you just saved. Well, over just 1 year, that's $1,000 in savings you just got. More time to spend with your kids, more time to get a little time for yourself. That's only over 1 year. Does that make sense? Any other questions at all? Yes?
How would you handle an objection for someone who is literally, like, okay, she said she was afraid of the knives because when she tested them out, she ended up having to get stitches. But it wasn't for my dental repair.
But it was cut.
Yeah.
Right. You know, I think that's one of those where you're going to have trouble handling that if she already experienced it. Right? Hey, by the way, I mean, you know, sharper knife safer and all that stuff, but if she already did it,
Yeah.
you know. Tough. Here's something, though. Have you ever did a demo for somebody that was older, and at the end they gave you the, well, if you would have seen me 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago, you ever get that?
Yeah.
So when's the best time to handle the objection?
Yeah.
Before you get it, right? So at the beginning of demos, when you're seeing somebody a little bit older, right? And this is off the cuff, but I would do something like this. I'd be like, hey, Miss Jones, you know, thank you for your time, blah, blah, blah. We're building rapport, all that stuff. Hey, like I told you on the phone, you don't have to get anything. I get paid anyway. I'll tell you what, though, you're going to love what I'm going to show you, Mr. and Miss Jones. Here's why. At this stage of your life that you guys are at, what I'm going to show you is going to be so cool because it's not going to be so much that you need it. But what most of my customers found is that it's not so much that they need it, but they deserve it. I mean, let's face it, you've worked really hard throughout your life. Why not treat yourself to something really nice? So I'm going to show you some really cool stuff. Keep your eyes open, you know, something like that. You know, but you don't want that at the end. Well, if you were seeing me 30 years ago, I don't really need it now. All right? So it's not so much that you need it, but you've probably worked really hard throughout your life, and it's more that you deserve it. Why not treat yourself something really nice? Does that make sense? Any other quick questions at all, comments at all, anything? Yeah.
So, what would you do if, like, you know, at the beginning they say, you know, I'm just going to tell you up front, I'm not going to buy anything. And then, you know, how do you reply to that without having that sense that they don't have to buy anything in their head?
Oh, let's role play. Ready? Go ahead.
That one's up front, I'm not going to buy anything.
Oh, that's cool. No problem at all. That's good. Matter of fact, I'm glad you said that. That takes the pressure off of me, too. So that's cool. You don't have to get anything at all. I get paid anyway. Hey, let me ask you a question. Hypothetically, okay, I know you're not going to get anything, but hypothetically, if you saw a product that you really wanted and it could save you time, money, energy, frustration, and effort, and you'd use it all the time, I know you're not going to get it, but do you think you'd want to get it then? Cool. Okay, cool. Hey, don't get anything at all. No big deal. All right, did you hide your checkbook and credit card? You got to hide them. I'm telling you. You know what's crazy? I'm just going to tell you this right now. I can take a time out real quick in 5 minutes. I'll even close my eyes. But you got to hide those things because what I'm going to show you is going to blow you away. It's unbelievable. And I don't even cook. I'm 19 years old. I don't even cook. And I own this stuff myself. It's crazy. Cool? But you don't have to get anything. No big deal. That's all I would do. Something like that. Disarm them. Just no big deal. Cool? Yes, sir.
Knives that cut the same strokes as cut. It's happened, you know. I know, of course, over time, it's probably not going to stay sharp as long. That always gets me, you know, uneasy after it cuts the same amount of time, same strokes. So, what's your recovery need?
Well, one thing you can do whenever, you know how you can kind of see the knives, right? Let's say it's a serrated edge and those points are looking pretty sharp.
Yeah.
Or it's a straight edge. So what you want to do is make sure they get out their knives at the beginning, right? And when you're doing the junk knife page, I never refer to their knives. I'm always pointing at the picture. And never saying your knives. It's most knives, a lot of people's knives. But I'm taking a mental note. And so if I cover serrated edges and I think they have a knife that's going to go through real stroke, I'm going to build it up like Ms. Jones. Serrated edges have a good and bad to it. The great thing is this. I mean, when they're fairly new or if they haven't been used a ton, see, because sometimes they have a big serrated edge. It's not new, but it hasn't been used that much.
Yeah.
So if you just say when they're new, that's not good enough.
Right.
Because they're thinking, mine's not new. Do you see what I mean? So it's all about handling it before you get it, right? So it's like, or if they haven't been used a lot, man, they'll cut really good. But here's what happens, Ms. Jones. And I'm a visual learner. So I teach the representatives and the pilot to draw the serrated edge out on paper for the customer and draw the double the edge out. And so it's like, even though this is very basic, right? It's, when these points start to wear down and then blah, 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 and then I might talk about cutting tomatoes or cutting garlic bread and smashing, whatever. Now, if it's a straight edge, say it looks like a pretty, a lot of times when they hand me a straight edge, if it looks like Wusthof or Henkel's or something like that, I'll feel the edge.
Yeah.
I want to have it heads up. Does that make sense? So I kind of feel the edge, so I know if it's going to cut through the rope. And the same thing, on the junk knife page is the best place to handle it, to set the tone that, long term. Then when they zip through it, I'm unfazed at all. I act like it happens all the time. They zip through, I'm like, oh yeah, that's cool, that's pretty good. Hey, go ahead and use your Cutco. Let's start here at the back. And then I try to really get them to start at the back and dig in and press real hard to try to get that in a half a stroke, right? So they zip through it, and I'm like, oh, cool, that's pretty good, right? That's like half a stroke, 3/4 of a stroke. You know what, though, Ms. Jones? What we just did, that's irrelevant. That doesn't even matter. What really matters is it going to take care of you the next 5, 15, 10, 15 years? How it cuts today doesn't even matter. But is it going to take care of you the next 5, 10, 15 years? Let me show you our exclusive, one-of-a-kind, double D edge. And then I draw it out. And then, see, the value of drawing it out to me, some of you probably use the pictures in the book. I like to draw it out because I'm a visual learner, and also I can explain this. I can explain how there's a blade here, there's a blade here, there's a blade here, right? In between every 2 points, there's these blades, right, Ms. Jones? And I show them on the knife, and then I say, but check this out. The reason it's going to stay sharp 7 to 12, maybe even longer, years, is this. And I take the T-carver, and then I'm like, check this out. The points totally protect the blades from dulling, and I grind it on there 5 or 10 times, I'm like, it doesn't even hurt it. Here's why. These points protect these blades up in between. Sooner or later, these points are going to wear down, like this. But what's still there? All 3 blades. For this to really get dull, all this steel is going to have to wear down really up into this top, really up into here. That's why it stays sharp 7 to 12 years. That's why this is going to take care of you 10 years from now. 5, 10, 15 years from now. It's still going to be cut like it's new. And so that's how I would handle that if they zip through in one stroke.
All right.
Does that make sense? Cool. Any other quick questions at all? Comments? Anything at all? Oh, we got to roll here soon, don't we?
Yeah.
Dang, I got all fired up. All right, we got to roll. Here's the deal. This was Theo's talk on phone excellence and how to rock push selling. And here's what I'll say, guys, real important. Okay, let me just pass this out real quick and we'll wrap up here in the next couple minutes. Is Darren up right now? Still up. Cool. Brian's next, right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right, do I have like 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay, real quick. We'll hurry up. Hey, real quick, pass these as fast as you can. A couple comments on this. Very important. You should be so fired up for SC1 push, SC2 push, that you should have your 3 or 4 pre-push foam jams planned out. You may need to talk to your manager about when you can do those based on your office schedule, but you should be so fired up that you're just like foaming at the mouth, like frothing, like, I can't wait to do this. I can't wait. Here's the other thing. Who wants to have the biggest push they've ever had? Everybody. You have to make more phone calls than you've ever made. Right? You got to think, what's your biggest phone jam? For most of you, it's probably 100 to 200 calls in one jam. Well, why not jam 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. and make 250 phone calls? You can take a little break in the middle, but I'm talking, you got to think outside the box. You got to expand your thinking if you want to do something you've never done. Does that make sense? You know, how many of you have made, you don't have to raise your hand, but 200 phone calls, 250 phone calls, 300 phone calls? What if you made 100 calls, 100 calls, 100 calls, and then 250 calls the 4 days before a push? You don't think you're going to have a good 20, 30, 40 demos lined up going in? Right? That's big thinking, right? Here's another thing. I promise you, all of you have people you kind of know or kind of knows you that you haven't seen yet. Let me repeat this, real important. I promise you that all of you have people that you either know or kind of know, or they know or kind of know you or your parents that you haven't showed Cutco to yet. I would get that list as big as possible because even if it's an acquaintance, they know you a little bit. Easier to set up appointments. I'd be brainstorming that list. Does that make sense? All of you, if I gave you $10,000, if you could come up with 10 or 15 more people you kind of know, or your parents know that you haven't seen yet, and you had till tomorrow to do it, I bet you all would come in with 10 or 15 more numbers. Or 20. If I said you had to get 20, I bet you'd come up with 20 if I give you 10 grand. So it's not a question of ability or do you know the people. It's really a question of desire of how successful you want to be. Does that make sense?
Yes, sir.
All right. So it comes down to number of calls, numbers game, all that stuff. There's some bonus tips down there about following your schedule. On the back, how to rock push selling. You know, what is a push? You know, I think about, myths of a push. I mean, all this is really laid out. The mentality of the push, goal sharing, preparation is key. Having a big why. That's really important. You know, having a big why of why you want to have a big push. That'll help you stay committed. Knowing your numbers. Right, I hate it if I talk to an assistant manager and we're having a text exchange at the end of the day and I'm like, where are you at for the push? And you don't know. Like, hello, McFly. Like, really? You don't know your CPO for the push? I mean, any given moment, you should have your daily CPO and your push CPO to a T. You got to know where you're at exactly. Daily, weekly, and push. Meaning if it's second week of a push, you know your daily, weekly, and your push all times. All times. Every demo when you're done, you get that figured out, right? And then an accountability partner, right? Amber talked about a lot of this. Theo does a lot of add-ons, buy one, get one. Buy one, get one, that sort of thing. So I appreciate your time, guys. Hurlman's going to wrap us up, and then it's summertime. And that's it.